Hello again and welcome back to the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a music lesson. Been shooting a lot of videos recently about gear and whatnot, so I thought I'd get back to doing music lessons. And what we're going to do in this video is basically look at a riff and kind of dissect that a little bit, look at the notes that's involved, how they relate to each other, how they relate to the scale, and kind of understand how that riff works. So it's not so much about teaching you how to play that riff verbatim, it's just about giving you some ideas for so how a riff can be constructed, and some ideas and inspirations that you can take and incorporate it into your own playing and your own writing. Oh, and before I forget, guitar of the day today is my old faithful Thompson Custom with the DiMarzio pickups with the tone zone and the bridge, which we'll be using today. Going into the crunch channel on the Hayden HGTA 40. Pedal board looks like this. Okay, so let's start off. I'll play the riff through, so like regular speed, then we'll take it apart note by note and see how it all works. So this is it, play through at normal speed. So we're playing in the key of E minor, specifically E harmonic minor. The reason I wanted to playing this in E is because I want to incorporate the bottom E string into the main part of the riff. So it starts on basically an E power chord, played on 5th, 4th and 3rd string. So we've got an E on the 7th fret on the A string, a B at the 9th fret on the D string, and on the G string we've got a E at the 9th fret, which gives us that E power chord. But what I also want to do is play the bottom string. So we've got an E, a B and an E, which gives you a much fatter sound by having that extra bass note. So we'll start with that chord, and then we'll play a little pattern on the 5th string, going from E to F sharp, to G, down to F sharp, and down to E. So it's 1, 2, flat 3, 2, 1. Play the chord again, and then we'll play the same picking pattern but one string up. So we're playing an A, a B, a C, a B, and back down to the A, this time on the 4th string. So we've got effectively a 4th, 5th, flat 6th, 5th and the 4th. So put that together. Then we play the chord and the pattern again on the 5th string. So that gives us this. That's all fairly standard notes from E natural minor. However, what I wanted to do with this riff is give it a slightly more interesting sound, and we're playing it in E harmonic minor. We know it's an E harmonic minor because after we've played those patterns through, we go down to a D sharp, which is it's like a natural 7th degree of E. And go from the D sharp, which is the 6th fret on 5th string, up to the E again at the 7th fret, and then slide down to the C, which is at the 3rd fret on the 5th string. So we get a bit of vibrato there, just to make it sound interesting. So putting that together. Now, the reason this sounds the way it does is all about that natural 7th degree, because we're playing it in the key of E harmonic minor. Let's compare the two scales quickly. This is an E minor, which is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7 in the octave. compare that to E harmonic minor, which is basically the same notes, but it's got a natural 7th degree. So I've got 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, natural 7th, and the octave. It's got much more interesting, well, it's the Gothic, neoclassical sort of sound here. Sort of scale that you hear people like Ingrid Malmsteen, you know, the neoclassical shredders using all the time. So just out of interest, let's play that riff through, and rather than using the note from the harmonic minor, we're using a note from the natural minor. So instead of using a 7th, we use a flat 7th. So that sounds completely different, doesn't it? It's just one note, one semitone different, but it completely changes the feel of the piece. Now the riff's in 2 parts. Both parts start with the chord pattern, but they finish differently. The first time through we go 7, 1, flat 6. So D sharp to E to C. And what I wanted to do the second time through was play something slightly different. I remember reading a book on composition years and years ago, and the author's talking about why you repeat something or getting, you know, if you duplicate something in a piece, you have to ask yourself why you're doing that duplication. Does the listener benefit from hearing something again? And so, like, with that in mind, I don't want to just play the same thing over and over and over. I want to put little changes into it just to keep it interesting and keep it varied. So the second time through, instead of going from the 7th to the root to the 6th, I'm going to go from the 7th to the root down to the 5th, so we're actually going to finish on the B, the 2nd fret on 5th string. And the reason for doing it in this order is, if you play it through the first time, that's not a particularly resolved note. It's tense, it wants to go somewhere. Second time through, it's a stronger note, it's the dominant, it's the 5th degree, so it sounds a bit more like the riff has finished, but still you've got that, the fact that that's 5th degree rather than the root, and it wants to go, still kind of wants to go somewhere, but not as desperately crying out for a resolution as it did when we finished on the C. But on the 5th degree, a natural way for that to go is to go up an interval of a perfect 4th. So from B, 5th degree, up to the E, which is the root. So that kind of helps us to complete the circle, because by going from the E, so from the B, wanting to go up to the E, that's the first note of the riff, so it helps us to just keep the thing looping around. Okay, so thinking a little bit about how that sounds. It sounds the way it does because we're using the harmonic minor rather than the natural minor. It gives it that Gothic sort of feel, and it's all because of that relationship between the natural 7th and the root. Don't get confused, I'm saying it's got a natural 7th in it, but it's the harmonic minor, whereas the natural minor actually has the flattened 7th. If you're not used to the 2 different types of minor scales, I've done a separate tutorial on that, and I'll put a link in the information section below. But don't get too hung up on the naming. The important thing is that the harmonic minor has that more Gothic sound to it. Also, something that helps to give this riff sort of the character that it's got is the places where we're using strong notes that relate to the minor pentatonic, and places where we're using notes that don't belong to the minor pentatonic. I did a tutorial a while ago where I talked about how you can view the pentatonic as being like a skeleton scale, and you add notes onto that to give you different modes or whatever. And you start to get the more stronger characteristic sound of the scale when you dwell on, or you make more use of the notes which don't coincide with the notes of the pentatonic. So here we're using the 2, we're using the flat 6, we're using the the natural 7th. Now in the minor pentatonic it's a flat 7, but we're playing the harmonic minor, so we're using a natural 7. Notes that aren't in the pentatonic, so it starts to take you from like safe pentatonic territory into something that really starts to enhance the sound of the scale. And because this is very much like a rock metal type of riff, you're introducing things that aren't happy and pleasing on the ear. They are a little bit more tense, and that's kind of why the riff works the way that it does. So there's a few ideas for you. Don't copy this. Just look at the ideas that I've talked about and think about how you can incorporate them into your own playing and your own composition and riff writing and so on. Okay, if you've got a question or suggestion for a future video, then if you go here, there's a form you can fill in and send your question in. I'll try and get around to answering it as soon as I can. I've got a bit of a backlog at the minute, so don't be offended if it takes me a while to get around to responding. Okay, I hope you found that useful and interesting. If you did, please click like, subscribe, comment, all the options down there that YouTube gives you, and I'll see you in another video sometime soon. Bye for now.